Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras chapter 6 of the Apocrypha, verses 22 to 25. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the first thing that should come to mind with the storehouses being found empty is this supply chain disruption going on right now, and these different stores out here having empty shelves and being low on goods, not just food, but paper goods, clothing, electronics, sporting equipment, car parts, etc., etc. And that's what I'll be dealing with in this video, with a few articles from endoftheamericandream.com as well as the economiccollapseblog.org to show that not only is this supply chain disruption going to continue, but it's going to get worse. And best believe that this is all by design from the elites to sow civil unrest, chaos, and discord in society so they can be justified and bringing order out of chaos, enacting a state of martial law, which what have you been hearing about lately? President Joe Biden talking about activating the National Guard to deal with the supply chain disruption. And then also you've already got the National Guard activated in certain capacities, such as driving kids to school because there's a bus driver shortage. And to further implement that NW0, that GREATRESET, which the ultimate goal of all this is to crash the economy and bring in a digital currency, a cashless society, all predicated upon the charagma, the MOTB, in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 17, the MICROCHIPIMPLANT. Hey, but on top of all this, this is all the will of the Most High to fulfill the prophecies we're reading about. Verse 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, due to the full storehouses suddenly being found empty. Food shortages, clothing shortages, shortages in other essential items, etc., etc. And there are many different factors besides good shortages that is going to play into people fighting one against another like enemies. Hyperinflation, to where people can't even afford to buy the goods that the few goods that are left. People losing their jobs, whether the jobs just going out of business or them having to quit their jobs because they don't want to go along with the Jumbo Juice mandates, etc., etc. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. There's also going to be water getting cut off in that day. And besides dealing with the full storehouses suddenly being found empty in this video with the supply chain disruption, I'm also going to be talking a little bit about a looming energy shortage from propane, natural gas, oil, coal, you name it. And if there's going to be a coming shortage on these different power sources, it wouldn't be far-fetched to see the elites turn off the water as well to further get people hectic and scared and willing to accept anything they offer in that day. That NW0, that GR25. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation, and the end of your world, the end of this current world or age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites or the so-called white people. And those that are going to remain and escape all these different calamities of Jacob's trouble is the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations. And hey, to you sincere Akim out there, Right now, you should be doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so you can be saved from all these different calamities of Jacob's trouble, because it's going to get so bad to where, as it says in Daniel chapter 12, the archangel Michael is going to have to intervene to protect the elect. But now let's get into some of these articles. And I've got 3 articles, and I'm going to go into a little bit of information in each one of them. Let me reload everything real quick. And the first article on endoftheamericandream.com is titled, "They Insist Everything Will Be Fine as We Face Shortages of Chicken, Coffee, Diapers, Fish Sticks, Frozen Meals, Carbonated Drinks, etc. And suddenly shall the full storehouses be found empty." Officials in Washington continue to assure us that we don't have anything to be concerned about, but meanwhile, the shelves just continue to get even emptier. On Friday, hashtag Bare Shelves Biden was the #1 trending topic on Twitter, and I am sure that the Biden administration must have been thrilled by that. Biden insists that he and his team are on top of things, but so far, nothing that they have done has worked. Because again, all that's going on right now is by design, because the elites want to sow civil unrest and discord to bring that order out of chaos, that NW0, that GR. In fact, this crisis just seems to keep getting worse and worse. And because we are facing such a hydra of bottlenecks, there aren't going to be any easy solutions. When you look closely at all of the small fractures that have contributed to the world's supply chain crack-up, it really can begin to look maddeningly complex. As The Atlantic's Derek Thompson put it, global commerce is currently being choked by a veritable hydra of bottlenecks. China's zero-tolerance policy for the C-19 led it to shut down a major supply terminal after a single infection and has slowed traffic at other ports. Lately, rolling power outages in the country have closed factories. Vietnam's clothing and shoe plants, which companies like Nike rely on, were paralyzed by C-19 lockdowns earlier this year. The world has also been bedeviled by shipping container shortages made worse by bizarre pricing incentives that have led companies to send the boxes back from the U.S. to Asia empty, leaving American agricultural exporters in the lurch. Meanwhile, the world's semiconductor shortage has lingered on, stalling car and electronic production. Earlier this week, it was reported that Apple is expected to cut iPhone production by 10 million because it simply can't get enough chips. I'm going to skip this part right here. Jump to right here. Our society has become a festival of sloth, inactivity, and incompetence. And at this point, things have gotten so bad that our supply chains are breaking down on a very basic level. The shortages continue to intensify, and we are being told that we will be even worse by the time the end of December rolls around. According to USA Today, the following are in particularly short supply right now: Ben & Jerry flavors, carbonated drinks, chicken, coffee, diapers, fish sticks, frozen meals, Heinz ketchup packets, Marie Callender's pot pies, McCormick gourmet spices, Rice Krispie treats, Sour Patch Kids, toilet paper. How hard is it to make toilet paper, but put it in a truck and drive it to stores around the country? It seems like we have been talking about toilet paper shortages for nearly 2 years now. When is it going to end, Salakia? To me, the food shortages are particularly alarming. Earlier today, I was stunned to learn that one school district in Alabama says that it can't feed the students because it can't get enough food delivered. How bad are the shortages across the country getting? One Alabama school district is literally running out of food. Alexander City schools have started asking parents to feed their children breakfast at home or send them to school with snacks because the district hasn't received its normal food deliveries from vendors, according to AL.com. Alexander City schools, like many schools across the nation, is experiencing supply chain issues with our food vendors, the district wrote on Facebook. This is the United States of America. This sort of thing is not supposed to happen here, but it is happening because we're living in the last seconds of the last days of the United States of America being a power before it's hit by 200 million nuclear missiles and turned into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. And virtually every industry is being affected. In the old days, getting vehicle parts was never a problem, but now some Americans are having to wait 2 or 3 months to have their vehicles fixed. In the Seattle suburbs, garage owner Brian Kelly waited on parts for 60 to 90 days on 2 separate occasions while fixing pickup trucks. One of the parts, a crankshift position sensor, used to take a half an hour to get from the distribution center, said Kelly, owner of Valley Automotive Repair and Electric. The wait got so long that the customer was ready to give up on his Dodge Ram 1500, he said. Even more alarming is the fact that so many farmers are having such difficulty getting their farm equipment fixed. As Ethan Huff has pointed out, this potentially threatens their ability to plant and harvest crops, which is going to further play into the coming famines. You've got a supply chain disruption dealing with food getting to these different places, which is being manufactured to bring in food shortages and famines. And as we're about to read, due to the supply chain disruption, farmers are also not able to get particular parts for their farming equipment to plant and harvest crops. And then the other week, I did a video showing that the government was telling farmers to destroy their crops in order to receive lucrative government subsidies, and that if they didn't do it, they wouldn't receive those subsidies and really be hurt. Again, all this is being orchestrated by the elites to sow civil unrest and chaos to be able to bring out that order and get people desperate enough to accept their NW0, that GR, and ultimately that charagma in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18. You try to baby your equipment, but we're all at the mercy of luck right now, says Court Holub, a 4th-generation corn and soybean farmer in Buckingham, Iowa, who now locks his machinery up inside his barn every night after thieves robbed hard-to-find tractor parts from a local Deere and Company dealership. Tractor tires, semiconductors, and other vital components needed in industrial farming sector are just not available like they once were, which threatens the ability of farmers to not only continue planting food, but also harvesting it, which is going to lead to further famines. If the shortages get a lot worse, which they will, and I believe that eventually they will, we will be facing things in this nation that we have never faced before. The terrible times of Jacob's trouble. That's it with the first article. Now I'm going to go to the second article, also on endoftheamericandream.com, titled, As the Shelves Get Emptier, How Long Can They Keep the Charade Going? They keep telling us that everything is going to be just fine, but an increasing number of Americans are beginning to realize that what we are facing is not temporary at all. From coast to coast, store shelves have been getting emptier and emptier. The full storehouse is suddenly being found empty, and supply chain experts are warning us that things aren't going to be getting better anytime soon. But Biden administration officials continue to smile and insist they have everything under control. Do you believe them? At this point, I don't know why anyone would still believe that they are capable of handling any major problem after what we have witnessed in Afghanistan, at the southern border, etc., etc. Just last week, Biden promised that he was going to work really hard to turn this crisis around, but it just continues to escalate. As we head toward the winter months, we are seeing unprecedented shortages all over the country. Shortages of virtually every type of product, from toilet paper and sneakers to pickup trucks and chicken, are showing up across the country. Looking for a book, bicycle, baby crib, or boat? You may have to wait weeks or months longer than usual to get your hands on it. I recently visited my local ski shop, and they had hardly a boot, ski, goggle, or pole to speak of. 2 full months before ski season begins. The owner said he's normally close to fully stocked around this time of the year. In an attempt to hide the true scope of the problem, some retailers have started to find creative ways to cover up their bare shelves. As the situation worsens, stores have attempted to literally cover up their shelves. One eerie video posted to social media showed numerous rows of colorful folding lawn chairs set up along empty shelves in a department store. Do you really think that this is fooling anyone? From KQ's Twitter page, we are at the edge of the precipice. The pretending it's fine aspect of the charade evokes a deep terror. Play this clip real quick. Hey, it's getting up there, Akim, and it's definitely going to stay up there. One Twitter user joked that the chairs are for us to use as we wait in the bread lines. And hey, in that day, you're going to be lucky if you find any food at all, which again is going to lead to friends fighting one against another like enemies. One person joked in a reply, "Those are chairs for us to sit and enjoy the bread lines." Another wrote, "Watch this kind of stuff happen in Venezuela," warned people about it. They started taking the same choices Venezuela once made, and we know where that got Venezuela. U.S. seems no different. Sadly, this is no laughing matter. We really are turning into Venezuela a little bit more with each passing day, and there's only so much that they can do to try to maintain the charade. From Ashy Shorts Twitter page, our Safeway appears to be trying to hide the supply shortage by using single lines of products to fill shelves, leading to this. That's it with this article. But now I'm going to go to my last article dealing with the looming energy shortages of oil, natural gas, propane, coal, etc., which is going to further exacerbate the chaos that's about to take place in society. Because in the midst of stores having empty store shelves and a lack of goods, hyperinflation, and people losing their jobs, hey, there's going to be energy shortages as well. And it's going to especially be bad during the winter, that so-called dark winter. This winter, we could potentially be facing simultaneous shortages of oil, natural gas, propane, and coal. I realize that the headline that I have chosen for this article may sound a bit wild to many of you, but keep reading because what we are potentially facing is extremely serious. Right now, we are already in the midst of an epic global energy crisis. There have already been significant power outages all over the planet, and prices are spiking at a pace that is absolutely breathtaking. With each passing day, it seems like supplies of oil, natural gas, propane, and coal just keep getting tighter. And what is really odd is that this is happening so early in the year. Summer just ended a few weeks ago, and the heart of winter in the northern hemisphere is still several months away. So if things are this bad already, what are things going to look like when we get into January and February? Salakia. This morning, I was stunned when I pulled up the Drudge Report and saw that one gas station in California was now selling gasoline for $7.59 a gallon. Gas keeps getting more and more expensive, especially in California, but perhaps nowhere is it pricier than the remote Central Coast community of Gorda. The town's only gas station is offering regular unleaded for $7.59. Premium is nearly $8.50. The good news is that a gallon of gasoline is not nearly that high in most of the rest of the nation. But the bad news is that prices are rising aggressively from coast to coast. As of yesterday, Fox News was reporting that the price of gasoline had risen for 22 days straight. The main reason why prices are skyrocketing is because supplies are starting to get really tight. In fact, it is being reported that the crude oil hub in Cushing, Oklahoma, could be effectively out of crude in just a few weeks. The full storehouses suddenly being found empty. In a note predicting the near-term dynamics of the oil market, J.P. Morgan's commodity Natasha Kaneva writes that in a world of pervasive natural gas and coal shortages, which are forcing the power sector to increasingly turn to oil, boosting demand by 750 BKD during winter and drawing inventory by 2.1 MMB/D in November and December, Cushing oil storage, which just dropped to 31.2 millimeters of barrels, the lowest since 2018, maybe just weeks from being effectively out of crude. The bank's conclusion: if nothing were to change in the Cushing balance over the next 2 months, we might expect front WTI spreads to spike to record highs, a super backwardation scenario. Needless to say, we have never seen anything like this happen before. In such a scenario, how high could the price of oil potentially go? And if oil prices are being shattered in the months ahead, what will ordinary Americans have to pay when they will go to fill up their vehicles? I have a feeling that we are about to enter uncharted territory. Meanwhile, one expert recently told Bloomberg that we could soon be facing propane market Armageddon. In the report by Bloomberg, Ang says prices for the first quarter of 2022 are already far above later supplies, saying it may indicate players are preparing for propane market Armageddon. He added that some areas could see outright shortages before winter ends. To add to the stress, Pointner says some weather forecasts are already calling for a colder than normal winter thanks to the La Nina effect. Experts call for an 87% chance of the system bringing an early and harsh winter season. The use of the term outright shortages definitely alarms me because there are millions of Americans that use propane to heat their own homes. If the propane runs out in the middle of the winter, what are those people supposed to do? And hey, I bet there's some conclusions you can come to what those people are going to do and what's going to happen to them. On the other side of the globe, a tightening of natural gas supplies has become an enormous problem. According to Global News, natural gas prices in Europe and Asia have more than tripled in 2021. Regional natural gas markets in the United States are seeing prices for this winter surge along with global record highs, suggesting that the energy bills causing headaches in Europe and Asia will hit the world's top gas producer before long. Gas prices in Europe and Asia have more than tripled this year, causing manufacturers to curtail activity from Spain to Britain and sparking power crises in China. In addition to a lack of natural gas, a severe coal shortage has also contributed to the economic chaos that we are witnessing in China at the moment. Just recently, CNN reported that energy shortages had already spread to 20 different provinces. Power shortages have spread to 20 provinces in recent weeks, forcing the government to ration electricity during peak hours and some factories to suspend production. These disruptions resulted in a sharp drop in industrial output last month and weighed on the outlook for China's economy. India is being hit really hard by the global coal shortage as well. In fact, we are being told that most of India's coal plants have critically low levels of coal inventory. Most of India's coal-fired power plants have critically low levels of coal inventory at a time when the economy is picking up and fueling electricity demand. Coal accounts for around 70% of India's electricity generation. So the truth is that my headline for this article is not over the top at all. The shortages aren't something that we have to wait for. They are already here, and they are going to get a lot worse. Of course, this new energy crisis is going to make our global supply chain disruption headaches even more frustrating. In our economic system, it takes energy to literally do just about anything. And as energy becomes more expensive, virtually every form of economic activity will also become more expensive. That means that all of the stuff that is made for us in Asia and shipped halfway around the planet is going to start costing a lot more. And so it's a vicious circle. Energy shortages is going to further exacerbate the supply chain shortages, which is going to further exacerbate this shortage of goods and empty shelves at these different stores. And again, it's all by design of the elites to bring about this chaos so that they can bring about their order, that NW0, that GR, that cashless digital society predicated upon the charagma, the MOTB. As toy shortages intensify heading into the holiday season, we are already seeing some resellers pricing toys at nearly 400% of their normal levels. American Girl's sold-out blonde winter princess doll, which retailed for $250, is now going for up to $999 on platforms such as Mercari and eBay. The cat-themed Gabby's Dollhouse, which is all the rage for this year's preschoolers, has nearly quadrupled on some sites from its original $55 price tag. That's it with this article. Hey, but as you can clearly see, we're coming into some very dark times, Akim. From energy shortages, water shortages, supply shortages, you name it. And on top of that, the famines, the pestilences, race wars, civil wars, martial law, you name it. So like I said at the beginning of the video, you want to be doing everything you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, so you can be saved from these calamities of Jacob's trouble to come and not be one of these people in 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And the modern day sword is that gun, along with anything else these people are going to have in that day. Bats, clubs, sticks, knives, literal swords, chains, brass knuckles, Molotov cocktails, etc., etc., and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread or food, as well as the lack of fuel sources like propane, gasoline, clothing, electronics, and for great tribulation, all these calamities of Jacob's trouble to come as punishment from the Most High on all you people on this planet for all the wickedness you've been committing. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.